Hi everyone, my name is Holly Webb and I'm so excited that you're about to start reading Evie's War. I absolutely loved writing this book. I have a connection to Yorkshire. My mum is from Saltburn, which is just along the coast from Whitby, where Evie's War is set. And when I was younger, she used to take me to Whitby, and I thought it was a beautiful place. I loved visiting the beach. And as I grew older, I started to find out more about Whitby's historical background. One of the things I discovered was that Whitby and Scarborough were among the first places to be attacked by German artillery shells during the First World War. In fact, there was a whole set of recruitment posters for soldiers during World War One that said "Remember Scarborough" on them, because a whole lot of people had actually been killed. Civilians, everyday people, not soldiers, had been killed in Scarborough, and it was used to encourage men and boys to join up. And in fact, in Whitby, a piece of shrapnel from one of these artillery shells actually fell on a school playground, a school playing field, in fact. And it was an incredibly close call, and some children running across the field only just managed to avoid this falling debris. And I started to read about this and think about how children in that town would have felt about the war suddenly coming so close. And at the same time, I'd also been thinking about the British War Dog School, which is a real organisation. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was started just before the First World War by someone called Lieutenant Colonel Richardson, who thought that dogs would be a brilliant way to help soldiers in the front lines deliver messages, and even sometimes to carry first aid kits with bandages to injured soldiers when other soldiers couldn't get to them because it wasn't safe. But dogs would be able to run very quickly and lightly over the bombed ground. And the amazing thing is that Lieutenant Colonel Richardson got most of those dogs from everyday families, from people in Britain who sent their own pets to go and join the War Dog School because they knew that they were needed. And in fact, Lieutenant Colonel Richardson then wrote a book about the War Dog School, and he quoted some of the letters that people sent with their dogs. And I just want to read this one to you. It's very short. It's from a little girl. "We've let Daddy go to fight the Kaiser." The Kaiser is the name for the German emperor. "And now we are sending Jack to do his bit." So Jack was the name of their dog, and they sent their daddy off to fight in the war, and then they sent their dog Jack too. So I really, really love dogs. And in fact, I grew up with two beautiful dogs, a bull terrier called Alice and a dachshund called Max. And when I was doing my research about the First World War, when I was thinking I wanted to write a wartime book set in Whitby, I found out that people who had dachshunds and the dogs themselves actually got attacked during World War One, because dachshunds are German dogs. They were a breed that was very much associated with Germany. And even at that time, then especially later on, if people were thinking about making cartoons, they'd often use a bulldog for Britain and a dachshund, a sausage dog, for Germany. And one of the scenes in Evie's War is when Evie, the main character, takes the two dogs out for a walk, and a group of boys chase her and try to attack Max because he's a dachshund, and they think that that means she's either a German spy or at least a German sympathiser, somebody who isn't really on the proper side in the war. So I loved doing the research for this book. I found it so interesting finding out all the different details that I could put in about living on the what's called the home front, so living at home as a family during World War One. And I ended up with so much information I couldn't actually put into the book. And this is the problem with research. You can end up going down a complete rabbit hole and getting really, really excited. Then you think, do you know, actually, that doesn't really fit into the story. I'm only putting it in because I think it's interesting and exciting. So I did have to cut a lot of bits out. So I really, really hope that you enjoy reading Evie's War, and I'm very jealous that you're going to go on a trip to Whitby. I hope you enjoy looking round and seeing all the beautiful places. I went on a research trip to Whitby, actually with my mum, in order to write this book, because my mum had lived so close years and years ago. And we went wandering around looking at where we thought our characters were going to live, and we actually visited the school where the artillery shell fell on their playing fields, although it's not called the same thing anymore. It's not called the county school, it's called Cademon College. And until very, very recently, they actually had the piece of artillery shell that fell on the playing fields. And then apparently one of the history teachers stole it, which I do think is very, very funny. So I hope you have an amazing time on your trip. I'm actually working on another book set during World War One at the moment. It's based on another historical real thing that happened. During World War One, a group of girl guides worked as messengers at MI5, so the spy headquarters in London. It was actually just before it was named MI5. It didn't get the name MI5 until later on during the war. And they worked as messengers. They ran the private messages between the people working at the spy headquarters to different people around the building, and also to other government departments. And it was also their job to dust and clean the typewriters and disinfect all the telephones. Of course, in my book, they're actually then going to uncover a murder and have to solve it, and hopefully in a sequel end up working as spies themselves. So I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm so glad that you are going to read a piece of historical fiction. I love reading historical fiction myself. I've read lots of it, and it's even better when it's a historical mystery, which is what I'm working on at the moment. So I hope you manage